Where is Joe Biden? That's the question on everyone's lips after the president has not been seen for 5 days since he announced he had COVID last week. Since then, Joe Biden has withdrawn from the presidential race, endorsed his VP Kamala Harris, and had a bizarre phone conversation at a press conference, all virtually, with no footage of him in the flesh. Sky News All-Stars Liz Storer, Chris Kenny and Paul Murray ask, where is Joe Biden? It's been arguably one of the biggest weeks in Joe Biden's life, but the president is nowhere to be seen. Online commentators are asking a lot of questions, concerned and curious that Joe Biden revealed he had COVID, disappeared, dropped a massive bombshell, and hasn't been seen since. The president released a statement over X on Sunday afternoon, telling the world he has dropped out of the election race, giving very little information beyond the bare minimum, which Sky News All-Star Liz Storer says was utterly insane.
But just before we do, Liz and Joe, just give me your first reactions. Liz, when you heard the news today that Biden had said, that's it, I'm not going to stand for re-election.
I just want to know if he knows that he's resigned, because very few people are talking about how utterly insane it is that the President of the United States of America has resigned via a tweet. Yeah. A tweet. Nobody's seen or heard from him today. The last we saw of him was him boarding, or rather getting off Air Force One after announcing that he had COVID. Yeah. Many people were like, does he even have COVID? He's not wearing a mask. This just doesn't seem believable. And the next we hear from him is this tweet from a Twitter account. We know that he doesn't tweet to himself. It's always one of his staffers. So I want to see the man himself. To me, this just seems, it's so unprecedented that one would simply resign the highest office in the world by tweeting. That is nuts. That is absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Sky News All-Star Chris Kenny agrees, calling the series of events bizarre.
It was obvious, of course, Joe Biden had to go, but on a Sunday afternoon via a tweet from his basement, this was bizarre.
Oh, it absolutely was. And you know, it's funny, I was sitting in Sydney Airport on my way to the US when there was that attempted assassination on Trump. And then, you know, you wake up Monday morning, but 10 days later, and Biden is gone. Look, it has been obvious since the debate that, it's been obvious to some of us, Chris, who have discussed this on your particular show for a very long time, that something has been adrift. But it's only really since the debate that all of a sudden it seems that was the shot in the arm for the mainstream media, and off we go. Unsurprising. I mean, they've got their convention third week of August, I think, so there's an awful lot of work for the Dems to do between now and then to sort out whatever position it is that they are going to take to the election in November. This could have all been dealt with much more tightly had it happened earlier. And unfortunately, when you try and keep the status quo in place, even when it's totally unsustainable, unfortunately, it's quite the mess to clean up.
Yeah, they've got no one to blame but themselves. They should have dealt with all this years ago. I keep saying, Gemma, about you're talking about Biden's decision to go. Of course, he's just withdrawing. He's just not recontesting. And so once he comes out of the basement and rejoins the rest of the world in coming days, we're left with this situation where he's a lamed up president serving through till January, and he's going to have to work with Kamala, and it's going to be messy.
I mean, there's so much to dig into in this set of circumstances. The thing you and I have spoken about countless times on this desk is who's really running the state.
Yes.
And that's the thing that terrifies me, because it's clearly not Joe Biden. I mean, he more than likely didn't write his own tweet or write his own statement. You know, I refer to my own father's cognitive decline as a point of comparison.
And adding to the strangeness, Joe Biden appeared at Kamala Harris's press conference via phone, but didn't show his face, reveals Sky News All-Star Peter Stefanovic.
Kamala Harris now, look, that signage, it's already there behind her. Kamala for president. They move quickly. Here she is.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Can we just give it up again for my husband? It is so good to hear our president's voice. Joe, I know you're still on the call, and we've been talking every day. You guys heard it from Doug's voice. We love Joe and Jill. We really do. They truly are like family to us. And we do, everybody here does.
It's mutual.
I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe. So, Joe, I'm going to recognize some of the electeds who are here, and then I'm going to get back to you. Hold on.
But pundits on Twitter are already poking holes, with one commentator highlighting Kamala's slip, where she almost said recording instead of call.
It is so good to hear our president's voice. Joe, I know you're still on the call, and we've been talking every day. You guys heard it from Doug's voice. We love Joe and Jill. We really do. They truly are like family to us. And we do, everybody here does.
It's mutual.
I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe.
And in another strange twist, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and his wife arrived in Washington, and the president was MIA again. There was no official welcome, which is customary when any world leader arrives, particularly the Israeli leader, based on current world events. Joe Biden's absence, despite still technically being the president, coupled with Kamala Harris throwing herself into full-blown campaign mode, has led many to ask, who is running the United States? Sky News All-Star Paul Murray says Joe Biden should have resigned and Kamala Harris been made president straight away to make things clearer.
But if she's the one to be the next candidate, he should have resigned outright this week and she should have been made president. That would give her her best hope, right?
Well, and also, she's going to spend the next few months saying, I just was a good number two. No, hang on. When 80 million people saw that bloke melt before her eyes in the debate, that night she came out and said everything is awesome, everything is fine.
But despite disappearing, Joe Biden maintains he will still be campaigning for Kamala Harris.
I'm going to be out there and campaign with her, with Kamala. I'm going to be working like hell, both as a sitting president, getting legislation passed, as well as in campaigning. You know, what we still need to save this democracy. And Trump is still a danger to the community, he's a danger to the nation. And just ask my foreign policy colleagues, my counterparts, and other people around the world and at home.